Dr. Shana.
Dr. Shana Lewis.
Dr. Shana D. Lewis.
Dr. Shana Lewis.
Oh, Dr. Shana D. Lewis.
Hello, 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 family and friends. Welcome to the Power Room. This is Dr. Shana. I am so excited, thrilled beyond measure that you are here. Welcome to the Power Room. Now, in this room, we are going to talk about all of the power moves you must make in order to leverage your genius and finally get paid what you are worth in life and business. Now, today is number one of this show, episode number one, and I am just so thrilled to be here for lots of reasons. And I'm going to tell you what a few of them are right now. Number one, today is my birthday. Yes, it is Dr. Shana's birthday. I am turning 47 today, and I'm excited to spend my 47th birthday with each of you here today on episode number one of this Power Moves podcast. Now, outside of it being my birthday, having a show that I've wanted to have for quite a while is another great reason for me to be excited. And there's so much that we want to talk about in this show, but let me just lay a few of the ground rules and the expectations, okay? Number one, this show is going to be streamed live. That means as you see me right now, it's happening right now. So if there's some mistakes, you're going to be a part of them. If we got bloopers, you get to laugh. If everything goes wrong, you'll see it happen in real time. So what I said to myself is, Dr. Shana, let's just do it. We're going to do it dirty. We're going to do it ugly. We just going to get it done. But we're going to show up. We're going to have a good time. And we're going to help all of our family and friends make some power moves. Okay. And so this series, this podcast is really for the expert, the practitioner, the entrepreneur, the corporate leader. You're the expert in some space and place in your world. Now, what do I mean by expert? A lot of folks get confused about when I say you're an expert because folks begin to doubt that they're actually experts. You've been in a space and a place doing a thing for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or maybe you're just getting out of school, you got a certification for something, and you never quite saw yourself as an expert. Well, the thing that comes very easy to you, because you're an expert, by the way, is extremely difficult for other people. So just know that because you think it's no big deal, it doesn't mean it's really no big deal to other folks. So you know everything that you need to know at this current moment about the thing that you are doing. It doesn't mean you know everything about everything. Let's get clear about that. A lot of us can't call ourselves experts because we think we don't know everything, but you don't have to know everything, my friend. You just got to know enough about what you know about and know it well enough and to do a good job with it. Okay. And so in this podcast, we're going to talk about experts. We're going to talk about practitioners. We're going to talk about all of you who have an opportunity to truly leverage the genius that is you. Okay. And so what I want you to do, I really am looking for this podcast to be interactive. I know I'm here and I'm sitting on this stage and it's just me in this space, but understand that your energy inside of the comments makes a difference. So if you are in this space and watching, just say hello, tell me where you're from, and also in the comments, share what's your expertise so I know who's watching and who this content is going to help the most. Is that fair enough? Excellent. All right. So as we enter into this power room, there's a few things that I want to share with you. Number one, I really want to share with you my story. Like, how did I get here? Why is Dr. Shana even having a podcast called Power Moves? For what reason am I doing this? Well, and why do I want to share this with you all? Well, I'm going to share a little bit about my story, and then I'll talk to you about why we all need to be in a space of making power moves in this first episode. Now, for me, many of you who may know me, or if you're new to me, I am a licensed professional counselor. I have been a counselor for over 20 years, and I've been in a space and a place of helping folks through all kinds of emotional, mental health kind of issues. I've had a private practice. See, this is one of those things, family, when I told you you'll be a part of the bloopers and the things that go wrong. My lights in my studio just went off. So you'll have to give me a second to go turn them back on. Hang tight. All right, there goes the first blooper. Y'all can laugh about it because it cannot get edited out of a live video. Okay, I told you we just gonna go with it. So, as a licensed professional counselor, I have worked in that space forever, for 20 years actually at this point, and I have worked really diligently to help a whole lot of people through life. But then the pandemic happened, right? It happened to all of us. And when it came to the pandemic, it really was a place that stressed me out, and so many of us. If you're a therapist, you know what I mean. No matter what kind of work you did or do, you were stressed by the pandemic. Yes. And so as a result of that, I really became burnt out in my work, and I wanted to find other ways to support the people that I knew I was called to support. And so I ended up really creating some online coaching opportunities and groups for people to just join in and have some conversations around wellness and self-care and mental health and those kind of things. And it was amazing. And I love doing that work, being able to help people all across the globe. And so from there, my work really just began to grow and expand. And you may have seen me on television. You may have seen me in one of my 6 books, and 7 is on its way. You may have seen me in magazines, on other podcasts, lots of different places and spaces. And so as I began growing in that way of really leveraging the genius that was mine, doing all kinds of things that did not look like traditional practice as a therapist, I really found myself excited about those opportunities. And other experts started to ask me questions about Dr. Shana. How do you do this stuff? So I realized that when I was on this journey, there were so many more that were on this journey as well too. So enter power moves, which is an opportunity for us to really have conversations around what are those moves that we really have to make if we're truly going to leverage our genius and finally get paid what we're worth in life and business. Now, mind you, I'm not just talking about money here, folks. I'm not against the bag. I'm not against getting some of it. And I believe that we have a space for that. But there's so much that comes into being a great entrepreneur, and making power moves is how we get to do that, right? I mean, even in our families and our relationships and all the other things that we do, there's a lot of power moves that we need to make. So let's set the playing field straight on why, if we're talking about for entrepreneurs or career folks, why making power moves matters. I want to give you a little statistics, okay? So I did a little bit of research, and I want to just give you an idea about how experts are paid in their industries on average, speaking to the need of why we got to make some power moves. So in general, an expert, this is according to a recent study, is paid about $34 an hour. $34 an hour. And no disrespect to anybody who makes $34 an hour, but I want you to think about this. At $34 an hour, if you work 50 hours a week, you can generate about $82,000 for your income. Okay. Now, as a mental health clinician, for my therapist friends out here, on average, we may make about $32 an hour. 50 hours a week could get you about $77K. Now, for my attorney friends, you may be an expert in law. On average, you're making about $48 an hour, 60 hours a week, $138,000 a year. Now, for my doctor friends, on average, this research says you may be making about $63.20 an hour. And if you work 50 hours a week, you can bring home about $150K. Now, no, $150K, $138K, $77K, $82K is not a bad living, but you got to consider how much you have to work to earn that living. And what happens when we got to work excessively hard to earn our livings, it takes away from other parts of our world and our life. And I just think that in this space, we have an opportunity to make some power moves. So if you think about this hourly rate that I just said, and this is just on average, y'all. So if you make more than this and that's not your number, that's wonderful, but this is an average. When we think about how much it costs for you to get the education to do the work that you do, if I use those same experts, and this is not all of the experts this applies to, this is just the ones that I'm using for our example. Law school, about $146K. Med school, maybe from $260K to $360K. clinical counseling, maybe from 30 to 120K. And if you're like me and you got a PhD in the counseling mental health world, you may have paid from $54,000 to $100,000 to get that education. So you spend excessive amounts of money to get an education, to show up, to get certifications, to be an expert in the area, but the industry doesn't actually pay you back for the effort that you put in to become that expert. Does that make sense? And so for me, as I began thinking about this, it becomes really important to find a way as an expert to be able to generate income without sacrificing the rest of my life to do it. Does that make sense? And so I want you all to begin thinking about, for you as an expert, what does it look like? What does it look like? Are you working 10 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 100 hours every 2 weeks to generate the kind of income that you need? Because it's the economy we live in. It costs to live, honey. It costs to breathe, actually. So it's an excessive amount of money that's required. And when we work harder, we take from other places in our world. So that's why I just really believe it's important as experts that we create some power moves. Okay. And so we're going to deal with all of these things over the course of this podcast that I look forward to sharing with you some of the key things that I've been able to do that have allowed me to truly shift into a space of really being what I call powerful. Now, here's the other piece of this. There are some barriers that many of us will find to actually creating power moves, right? Let's think about it. What would come to mind? So I think about one of the very first things that becomes a challenge for many of us is a word that you might be offended by when I say it, but it's okay because it's all right if you're offended. If you get offended, then maybe that message was for you. Is imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome. Now, I know many of you be thinking, I am not an imposter, Dr. Shana. I am here and I know who I am. But let me just say this. I have found in my experience of working with so many experts that many doubt themselves, even though they are highly trained to do the thing that they do, right? And so I'll start with myself. I had the same story at the very beginning of my entire career of thinking, I wasn't enough. I wasn't good enough. I didn't know enough. I hadn't done enough. Who's going to pay me for something that looks different? Who's going to do this or that? And those thoughts get in our way, right? And so I want you to begin thinking about if you're an expert in whatever way you are. Maybe you're a financial expert. Maybe you're a tech expert. Maybe you're an educator. I don't know. Maybe you could be a million things. But wherever you might be, I want you to think about, has there been a time where you doubted yourself? Can I actually do this? Will I do this well? Right? And so when we have those kind of thoughts, we struggle to make power moves. In fact, when we have imposter syndrome, we don't do anything. We sit still, we do not move, and we find ourselves in a space and a place that actually is something that will hold us hostage. And I'm not of the school of thought of us being held hostage. We work way too hard for these educations, way too hard for these certifications. You don't live way too much life. You've seen way too many things happen. You've been a part of some amazing things that have occurred, and yet and still you doubt yourself. So I want to offer us some different thoughts as experts before we even enter into all of the power moves we can truly make. This is the first power move. The very first power move is dispelling the self-doubt that many of us have about our areas of expertise and capacities to show up. Now, if that ain't your problem, then maybe this part of the message is not for you. But I'm telling you from my own experience, as well as for all of the other clinicians that I've worked with over the years, that it is a common, what I would call silent thing that many of us are dealing with, and we ain't talking about out loud. And what you're going to find out on this podcast is we're going to talk about what's real. We're going to deal with the real deal. We're going to deal with the things that are uncomfortable, and we're just going to tell the truth about it. Because to me, if we're not being honest about it, we can't make power moves, okay? And so I want us to begin thinking about what's the first way that we can challenge this self-doubt. Now, I want us to think about power moves, affirmations. Some of y'all may be saying, oh my goodness, Dr. Shana, you done went all mental health on me. No, affirmations are amazing. I believe as experts and practitioners, and those of you who are out here are killing in the area that you work in, you got to create a mindset that is going to support the work that you really have a capacity to do, because you are a genius. And there's so much more that you can give or offer without killing yourself to do it. If you really had the right mindset. Okay. So let's talk about this. There's 3 things I want you to remind yourself of every single day, because you are the expert that you are, and you have a capacity to make these power moves. So number 1, I am an expert. Let's just get that cleared up, and let's be able to tell ourselves that every single morning. Now, these affirmations, family, you look in the mirror, and you say, and here goes another one of those bloopers. I don't know why my light keeps cutting off, family, but it has turned off for yet a second time as we are sitting here doing this podcast. So I told y'all this is live. There is no filter for it, and it is what it is. So I'm going to get up for the second time and turn this light on. If it cut off again, then we're going to do the rest of this in the dark. It's real life. Live podcast, honey. Power moves in action. Okay, so we're going to go back to our affirmations. Number 1, your first affirmation for yourself is, I am an expert. Affirm that every single day. Decide that that's who you are and show up as that person. Okay, whoever you are and whatever work you do, show up as that person. I am an expert. Number 2, I am capable of leveraging my genius. What I want you to understand is you have a capacity to do so. I am capable of leveraging my genius. What does that mean, Dr. Shana? That means you can do a whole lot of other things that don't look like the exact work you're doing right now, but you can help so many more people doing it. We'll talk about all of that, but you got to get to the place where you understand that you have the capacity to leverage your genius. Okay. And number 3, I am good enough. I am good enough. Now, that may sound real simple, and some may say, well, I don't even question it, Dr. Shana, but so many of us do. And so I'm begging you right now, as we sit in this space, to tell yourself that you are good enough, period. Okay? You are good enough. And so when you recite those things to yourself every single day, I am an expert. I can leverage my genius, and I am good enough. Let those be the 3 things you remind yourself every single morning. Affirmations, you look yourself in the mirror, you have this conversation, and you really find yourself in a space where belief begins to set in. It's like magic. I used to say that all the time when I was doing therapy work to my clients. Affirmations are like magic. You didn't believe them before you said them, but you say them enough, guess what? You start to believe them. So that is going to be your homework from our work together today. Okay. Is your affirmations. These are your power move affirmations. All right. Now we got that aside. We got to get the mindset correct in order for us to show up and do the rest of this work. Now that we understand that we're not imposters, now that we understand that we have a capacity to do amazing things, now we are ready to begin to do the real work. All right. Now, this podcast, and I'll tell you this, will be one that may be from, 25 to 35 minutes every episode. I won't keep you long because I know my experts are super busy. You got lots of things going on, and you're probably trying to save the world as we speak. And so with that said, I want to give you some short drops, some short tidbits and things for you to think about so that you'll be in a capacity to really consume what we're saying, put it into action, and come back next time for the next power move. All right. So today I gave you the first power move. Those are the power move affirmations. Those are the things you're going to say to yourself every single day. Repeat after me, every single day. Why? Because repetition is your best friend if you're going to change anything in your life. Okay. So make sure you write those 3 things down. Now, here's the other thing that I have for you. I also have a free gift for you as well, too. So for those of you who are tuning in, I want you to make sure you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the YouTube description, and you're going to find down there a link that says connect to Dr. Shana, and it's going to say free gift. Click on the free gift. Grab your free training to 10x your business. Okay. It's amazing training. Completely my gift to you. Why not on my birthday? And also the birthday sale is still going on for those of you who've been checking it out. It ends tonight. So make sure you click that link as well too. All right. So with that said, we're going to recap, family. Here's the thing. As experts, number 1, we need to find our way into a space of making some power moves, because many of us are working excessively hard, and we're not reaping the benefits of what we really want because we're working so hard to do it. And we're missing out on other parts of life as a result. We got to learn some power moves in order for us to stop having to do that. Okay. Number 2, we got to dispel this imposter syndrome and kick it to the curb. Okay. How are we going to do that? With power moves affirmations. I gave you the 3 of them. I hope you wrote them down. I am an expert. I have the capacity to leverage my genius, and I am enough. Those are the 3. You know what? In every episode, we'll just add a few more. What I know about us as experts is we can switch these things out and continue to grow in our capacity to have belief in ourselves, because you, my expert friend, you, my practitioner friend, you who are sitting in this space, you are an entrepreneur, you are a leader in the work that you do. Somebody's waiting on you to show up. They just are. And so now's the time. Okay. Now is the time. All right. And so I want you to believe in yourself, because you can, you will, and you must, because the next power move is yours. Now go make the next power move. And I can't wait to see each of you next time for episode number 2 of Power Moves with Dr. Shana. Have a great rest of your day.